From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our weekly 5 and 5. 5 topics, a minute each. I'll try to remember to hit the bell at the end. We're going to talk about who's going to play for the national championship, what we'd change in sports, who's going to start at quarterback for OSU, whether James Harden has some sort of legitimate beef about the Thunder. But let's start with OU football, Barry, and how high will Bob go? How many career wins is Bob Stoops going to get? He's tied right now with Bud Wilkinson at 145. Where's Bob going?
I think he might be going to the 2021 Nebraska game. I asked him last night. I said, Bob, Nebraska, the new series, 2021, 2022. Who's going to coach in that series? He actually didn't dismiss it. He sort of got a gleam in his eye and said, you know what, maybe I will. I think he's going to be here a while. I think he's going to blast Switzer next year past the 157. I don't know if he'll get to 250, which if he coaches 10 more years, he'll get to 250 wins at Oklahoma. But I think he could go. I think he could be pushing 200 here within 3 or 4 years, and I think he'll probably do it. I'm going to predict Bob Stoops wins 200 games at Oklahoma.
I think he goes well over 200, Barry. I think he's going to coach for a while. Now, I don't think he's not going to be Bobby Bowden. He's not going to be Joe Paterno. He's not going to coach that long in his life. I think Bob Stoops has got other interests. He wants to hang out with his family, wants to go live in warmer climates than even Norman, Oklahoma provides. He wants those things, but I think he's going to be here a little while longer. I think he likes what he does, and you know what? He's comfortable in Norman. Even when they struggle, he still knows what a good thing he's got. So I think he goes well over 200. I'm going to say 250. All right, what about this one for OSU football, Barry? Does it matter who starts at quarterback for these guys? I mean, for crying out loud, you could be starting this week for OSU.
No, I could not be starting at quarterback for OSU. My eligibility expired in the year of our Lord 1984. But I don't think it matters if you're talking about the three: Walsh, Chelf, Wes Lunt. Now, if you go down to Jace Chilcote, I'm going to take West Virginia in a heartbeat. But all three of the guys have proven they can get the job done in different ways, maybe to different levels of effectiveness. But the truth of the matter is, Clint Chelf looked just as solid as Wes Lunt, and that's first and third teamers. So I think the Cowboys they've got a great offensive system. They got quarterbacks that know the offense and can run it. So the answer is, I really don't think it matters as long as the Cowboys have one of those three.
Yeah, and I agree. I was shocked, literally shocked, on Saturday night in Manhattan when Clint Chelf came out and performed as well as he did. I'm sorry, Clint. I just didn't think you were quite at that level. I mean, he just looked a lot better than I ever imagined he would. Looked much more mature, looked much more composed. I just thought he played fantastically. So when they were warming him up, I thought this could get ugly quick. It did not. It went fantastically for the Cowboys despite playing a third-teamer. I think they've got a good thing going with all three of those guys. All right, Barry, to the Thunder. Hey, does James Harden have a legitimate beef? James is saying, hey, you guys only gave me an hour to decide on this contract thing. Don't I deserve more? Does he have a beef here?
No, he really doesn't. And I don't want to vilify James. I don't know that he made the wrong decision. I don't know that I think maybe that the decision to not sign with the Thunder might work out for him, and it's certainly his right. So this is not a bash Harden deal. But the Thunder offered James Harden $52 million over 4 years, $13 million a year. That was on the table for a long time. They were negotiating back and forth. Harden wanted more. The Thunder came up to $52 million, realized it wasn't going to happen. The Thunder made a trade with Houston, and they went back to James one more time, and they said, listen, we're going to go above and beyond what we're financially capable of doing. We're going to give you $53 million. Some say 54. So $54 million. That's $13.25 million a year. Our final offer, what do you say? James said, let me think about it. And they said, we can't think about it anymore. We got a trade. We're ready to do it. We'll give you an hour. And James basically called their bluff. He got traded to Houston. I don't blame either one for that. You can't blame James Harden. If he didn't know what to do, he didn't know what to do. But the Thunder had to make a move. The trade was out there. Houston needed to know if the trade was going through because they needed time to sign Harden once they got him. So no, No legitimate beef for James Harden.
And when you talk about the time that Houston needed, it came down to getting all these guys processed. This is a 6-player trade, so you need to get the 2 guys that came here. You need to get their physicals done. You need the 4 guys that are going to Houston. All their physicals have to get done. That takes some time. And so you've got the travel, you've got all that processing, and then you've got to sign James to that deal. So they needed more than this. Could not be a deal that got done on October 31st and the Rockets be involved with it. That's why the trigger had to be pulled on this. And here's the reality. James Harden was basically, he knew what range the Thunder could offer him. And he knew it for months. He knew it for probably longer than months. He probably knew it for a year or better. He knew he was going to get about 12 to 13 million, and the max he could get was 16. He knew that for a long time. So yeah, they gave him an hour ultimately, but really, he had longer than that. And if he didn't know his answer, he didn't know his answer. I'm with you, Barry, though. We don't vilify him. I don't think the Thunder is either. All right, our fun question of the week, Barry. We just had the election, so sports change you can believe in. What is something you'd vote to change in the world of sports?
All right, I am going to appeal to the hungry, the poor, the huddled masses. I'm going to do something for the little guy in sports. I am going to give relief to football's defensive backs. I am going to command officials to keep the flags in their pocket when there's incidental or minor contact on a pass play. This is driving me crazy. I watched Nebraska win a game Saturday, an interference call against Michigan State in the final seconds. A fabulous defensive play. The guy played it perfectly. Great technique, great positioning, knocked the ball down, and they threw an interference flag. In the NFL, it's rampant. It's become like a punt. Every other play is a flag when there's a ball in the air. We got to get rid of it, folks. It's ruining football.
That's a really good stump speech, by the way. Here's one I'm going with, and it's also for the fans. It's jerseys with numbers and names you can read. I don't know how you mandate this, but certain size, I think you have to have some numbers and some letters that you can actually see. I think having names that are on the back is important. You know, some coaches say, well, it's all about the name on the front. Yeah, we get that. We know that. But for the fans, they want to know who the heck's out there. So come on and give us some jersey numbers we can read and put those names on the back so we know who the heck's out there. That's for the fans too, Barry. All right, lastly, this one, college football. Hey, I asked this question last week, but I think I'll just keep asking it. Who will play for the national championship?
Well, I think it's going to be Alabama and Oregon, and I'm just basing this all on if everybody wins out. You know, if somebody loses, of course, they take themselves out of the equation. But if everybody wins out, Oregon clearly has the advantage for this reason. Oregon is number 2 in the polls right now. That's not going to change unless Oregon loses. And Oregon's just going to keep rising in the computers because their end of season schedule is so tough. They got Stanford, they've got Oregon State, and they would have a Pac-12 championship game against a solid team, probably UCLA or somebody. Just going to keep getting better and better in the computers, and that strength in the polls is not going to change. 2/3 of the BCS is the polls. Oregon is in the driver's seat, even though they now trail Kansas State.
I'm going to go with Alabama and K-State. I know, Barry, like you said, that the human polls are looking at Oregon right now, but I think K-State is going to finish really strong. They've got 3 remaining teams from the state of Texas. They're going to finish with the Longhorns, and I think there's a good chance that they win all 3 of those games by really impressive margins. And you know what? We've talked before. Texas, obviously not the Texas of yesteryear, you know, not one of those really good Texas teams. But if you beat Texas handily, 3-4 touchdowns, which I think is totally possible for K-State, because I'm really impressed with K-State. I think that's a huge, huge final step for K-State to make. It makes a great closing argument. And, you know, Colin Klein, fantastic. But, Barry, something that gets overlooked. K-State's defense is really, really solid. Those guys are, you know, not as good as K-State's offense, but not bad either. And maybe I just want to see Alabama and K-State. Maybe I just want to see Saban versus Snyder. I think it'd be great fun. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.